Hello, my friends, and welcome back to VitaPrime Health. I'm Dr. Eleanor Vance, and it is such a privilege to spend this time with you today. As always, I want to remind you that this is not just a conversation about the body, but about our lives, our connection, and our ability to live with both truth and tenderness as we age. Some of today's discussion may feel sensitive, even a little daring, but I promise you it is handled with care, compassion, and science. So I invite you to relax, open your heart and mind, and join me in a candid conversation that just might shift the way you see intimacy forever. Today we are talking about the female orgasm, and specifically the fascinating research around which sexual positions may best support women in reaching orgasm more reliably and more fully. Now I want you to listen carefully and stay with me all the way until the end, because the most surprising and perhaps most transformative insights about intimacy, connection, and sexual fulfillment will come in the latter part of our conversation. If you leave too soon, you may miss exactly the piece that could help you or someone you love the most. And before we dive in, I'd love for you to reflect on something, and if you feel comfortable, share it in the comments below. What have you been taught, or what have you long believed about what makes sex pleasurable for women? Was it a passing comment from a partner, something you read in a magazine decades ago? Or maybe nothing at all, just silence and mystery? Please share. Your honesty helps others feel less alone. Now, here's the truth. For far too long, female sexual pleasure has been misunderstood, minimized, or even ignored. Many of us grew up in an era where talking openly about women's desire was considered improper, shameful, or unnecessary. As a result, countless women and their partners carried confusion, guilt, or even resentment into their intimate lives. But science is slowly catching up to what women have always known. Female pleasure is real, vital, complex, and profoundly tied to health and well-being. So what does the science actually say about the best sex positions for female orgasm? Researchers have studied this carefully, sometimes in laboratory settings, sometimes through self-reports, and the findings are both validating and eye-opening. What we now understand is that the position itself is not just about access or angle, but about the way it stimulates the clitoris, the vagina, and in some cases, deeper structures like the G-spot, or internal clitoral network. For most women, clitoral stimulation is central to orgasm. Yet many traditional positions that are commonly portrayed in media or pornography focus instead on penetration alone, often leaving women unsatisfied or believing there is something wrong with their bodies. Let's break this down together. In heterosexual couples, the most widely practiced position historically has been missionary. But while missionary can foster closeness and eye contact, it often doesn't provide enough direct clitoral stimulation for orgasm to occur. Some women adapt by tilting their hips, adding manual stimulation, or encouraging their partner to move in certain ways. This highlights a powerful truth. The female body often requires creativity, variation, and communication, rather than rigid adherence to a single script. Doggy style, on the other hand, can create deeper penetration and angle the penis toward areas like the anterior vaginal wall, where the G-spot is located. For some women, this is highly pleasurable and leads to orgasm, while for others it can feel uncomfortable or even painful. The difference often comes down to individual anatomy, vaginal length, pelvic tilt, sensitivity, and nerve pathways all play a role. That's why one-size-fits-all advice is so misleading. What delights one woman may distress another, and that is completely normal. Now let's talk about a position that science consistently points to as one of the most orgasm-friendly: woman on top. When the woman is in control of movement, rhythm, and angle, she can align penetration with clitoral stimulation in ways that suit her body. This position not only allows greater chance of orgasm, but also gives women agency and confidence in guiding the experience. For many couples, it's a game changer, because it breaks the pattern of male-centered scripts and invites true collaboration. Another variation worth mentioning is the coital alignment technique, or CAT. This involves subtle adjustments in positioning during missionary, where the man shifts upward slightly so his body rubs against the clitoris during penetration. While it sounds simple, studies have shown that this technique significantly increases the likelihood of female orgasm because it blends penetration with clitoral stimulation in a natural rhythm. Many couples describe it as the first-time intercourse alone reliably led to female orgasm. And let's not forget oral sex, which, while not a position of intercourse per se, is one of the most consistent pathways to orgasm for women. Oral stimulation directly targets the clitoris and surrounding structures, and when combined with communication and attentiveness, it can be deeply satisfying and affirming. Science shows that women who receive oral sex regularly report higher rates of orgasm, sexual satisfaction, and even relationship closeness. Now, you may be wondering, why does all of this matter? Isn't sex just supposed to be about spontaneity, not research or techniques? Well, here's the thing. When we are uninformed, we risk carrying frustration, shame, or silence into our relationships. Knowledge is not about turning intimacy into a science experiment. It's about freeing ourselves from myths, inviting honesty, and finding the courage to speak up for what we need and desire. I think here of a woman I'll call Margaret. At 68, she confessed to me that she had never once had an orgasm during intercourse. She thought her body was broken. When we talked openly about positions and the importance of clitoral stimulation, she was astonished. With her partner, she tried woman on top for the first time in decades, incorporating manual stimulation at the same time. She later told me, with tears in her eyes, "I thought it was too late for me, but it wasn't. I just needed to learn." That is the gift of science. It restores hope where silence once lived. Now let me pause here for a moment because as we talk about resilience, renewal, and intimacy, there's an important connection to make about how our bodies repair and restore themselves as we age. Many people don't realize that one of the reasons recovery, whether from stress, from physical exertion, or even from intimacy, slows down with age is because the number of circulating stem cells in our bodies declines. These stem cells are the very agents that repair tissue, reduce inflammation, and keep our bodies resilient. And when they diminish, everything feels harder. Healing takes longer, energy dips lower, and even our sexual vitality can wane. That's why I want to take a moment to share with you a natural support I believe in called STEM Active. STEM Active is a stem cell support supplement designed to help your body renew from within. It's made with plant-based ingredients, designed to encourage your body's own repair systems, and it's free of gluten, dairy, and artificial fillers. People who use it describe feeling more energy, quicker recovery, and a stronger foundation for vitality in all aspects of life, including intimacy. If you'd like to explore how it could fit into your own health journey, simply scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description. Give your body the tools it deserves, because renewal is not just for the young, it's for all of us. Now let's return to our conversation about orgasm and intimacy. One of the biggest misconceptions about female pleasure is the idea that it should happen automatically, or that if a woman does not climax from intercourse alone, she is somehow lacking. This belief has harmed generations. The reality is that female orgasm is a whole body, whole mind event. It depends not only on physical stimulation, but also on emotional safety, trust, presence, and connection. That's why positions that allow women more control, more comfort, and more focus on clitoral stimulation are consistently rated as more effective. But positions alone are not the answer. Communication is the bridge. Couples who openly discuss what feels good, what doesn't, and what they'd like to try report higher satisfaction, deeper intimacy, and fewer feelings of inadequacy. And this communication doesn't need to be clinical. It can be playful, tender, and even humorous. The point is to stay curious about each other, to remain explorers rather than performers. There's also a cultural layer we must address. For decades, sex has been portrayed through the lens of male pleasure, with female satisfaction relegated to the background or assumed to be automatic. Media images and pornography often exaggerate penetration as the primary source of female orgasm, when in reality, that is true for only a small percentage of women. By exposing this myth and replacing it with facts, we liberate women from unnecessary shame and men from false expectations. Let me share another story. A couple in their 70s came to me, struggling with dwindling intimacy. The wife admitted she had never experienced orgasm through intercourse and had resigned herself to a lifetime of quiet disappointment. The husband admitted he felt inadequate. Together, we worked on experimenting with new positions: coital alignment, woman on top, and more use of oral stimulation. Within months, their intimacy was transformed. She experienced her first orgasm during partnered sex, and he said, with tears in his eyes, "I didn't know it could feel this good to give her pleasure." That kind of healing is not just physical, it is relational, even spiritual. Of course, there are also practical steps to consider. Pelvic floor health plays a significant role in orgasmic intensity. Strengthening exercises like Kegels can improve blood flow, muscle tone, and the strength of contractions during orgasm. Lubrication, too, becomes more important with age, as natural moisture levels decline. Using quality lubricants can reduce discomfort, increase pleasure, and allow for longer, more relaxed intimacy. And don't overlook lifestyle basics. Good sleep, balanced hormones, reduced alcohol intake, and stress management all create the conditions for a healthy sexual response. Now, you might be wondering, what about women who never reach orgasm, no matter what position is tried? This is not uncommon, and it does not mean failure. Sometimes past trauma, deep-seated anxiety, or medical conditions interfere. For these women, compassion is the most important medicine. Therapy, pelvic physical therapy, or gentle self-exploration can all play a role. And partners must remember, intimacy is about connection, not just climax. A tender embrace, laughter shared, or the courage to speak truth can be as transformative as orgasm itself. So my friends, what have we learned today? That female orgasm is not a mystery to be endured, but a part of life to be understood. That the best sex positions are those that prioritize clitoral stimulation, comfort, and agency for women. That myths about what sex should look like must be replaced with truth. And that intimacy is not about performance, but about presence. I want to hear from you now. What stood out to you most in this conversation? Was it the science, the patient stories, or perhaps the reminder that communication is the greatest aphrodisiac of all? Share your reflections in the comments. I read them and they matter. As we close, let me say this. Whether you are 60, 70, or 80, whether you are partnered or alone, your body is still capable of pleasure, connection, and growth. Do not resign yourself to silence or shame. Instead, step into curiosity, tenderness, and courage. If this conversation spoke to you, please subscribe to VitaPrime Health. Share this episode with someone you love, because too many people suffer in silence when knowledge and compassion could set them free. Until next time, take exquisite care of yourselves, and remember, your vitality, your pleasure, and your humanity are never behind you. They are here, now, waiting for you to claim them.